We have the one and only Allen Danziger of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre joining me here on the show here today for Sports and Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, the horror show editions for October in the legendary Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, the Tobe Hooper classic, who played the character of Jerry. Allen, how's it going? Welcome to the show. How's your day going? How's life?
Having the time of my life. What do I call you? DJ Max, Mad Max? What do
You
you
can
go
you
by?
call me Mad Max. That's fine.
Mad Max. Okay, sir. You got it.
Oh yeah, but how's your day going, man? How you enjoying the beginning of fall really here?
Loving it. Loving it. Every day above ground at this age is a good day, Max.
It is. You got that right. You have any upcoming conventions at all, especially now that the horror
Yeah,
season is
yeah,
upon
yeah.
us?
I got a lot going on actually. In fact, October is going to be a busy month, and that I'm booked to do signings at a haunted house, at a country club, at a friend that has like a pumpkin patch. I'm gonna be signing autographs there, and I'm waiting. Really, that's kind of new. I'm breaking this here in front of you. We may be going to a cast reunion in Manchester, London
Wow, that's big
next
time.
November, and that might be the start of, I wouldn't say world domination, but like a world tour, of the remaining cast. And I mean, we're a vanishing breed. We're going every day. We're losing people. So that's kind of exciting. I'd love to see it happen.
Congratulations on that. And it's amazing just to see how many years that we're talking about this film later. When did you realize that this become a real cult hit? Because it became a box office success. You didn't see the residuals of it until a little bit later. I know you didn't get a lot of money from it originally because of the whole mafia deal. I heard all about that. But when did you realize that this film really had life all these years later?
Well, I mean, the real massacre took place
It took
after,
after the film. I've heard you say
know,
that.
but I mean, when it first came out, I watched it on Variety, and it was shooting up the charts like with a bullet. So I said, I can't believe this, but I hit the brass ring. You know what I mean? This is my retirement fund. And then, I think our first royalty check, I could go to a McDonald's. So I said, there's something wrong with this picture, and that's when we found out that the mafia was absconding, with the monies. And you learn stuff where there's no such thing as net in the movie business. And so, I mean, we all, I guess, got shafted, but over the years, they got the movie back, and we've gotten some royalty checks. And so I have nothing but great feelings about that movie. And I enjoyed every day, every moment making it. So for me, it was a blast because, I mean, I wasn't an actor. And some of the reviewers are quick to point that out, so it was a kick. It was really a kick when it came out, and it did well, and now all these years later, it seems like it's bigger than ever.
It is, and you have all these remakes always coming out. I wanted to ask you because I know next year Gun Media is releasing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game. Have you been contacted at all to offer your voice for the game?
I think Ed Neal is heading that up right now, and they may use us, down the line. But I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I've seen some of the promo stuff, and it should be cool.
It looks realistic. I know Kane Hodder's doing the behind the scenes. He's doing the motion graphics for Leatherface.
Uh-huh. Oh wow. See, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
He's a horror icon of his own right, and rest in peace to Gunnar Hansen. Because I know you guys became really close, especially after the film. I heard a story where he was staying with you at a time. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I did not know Gunner till after the movie, and in fact, I
Yeah.
didn't see him until I get killed, and that's one of the things that we talk about because I remember just sitting on the front porch before I walked into the house, and I had them blindfold me, which was my nod to the Stanislavski method, whatever that is. And so I just got myself really worked up into a tizzy. And then I go into the house, I go into the kitchen, I see the hook, the freezer, and then I turn around and there comes Gunner, and I just started screaming, and I ran out of the house. And that's when Toby yelled, "Cut!" And he came over, put his arm around me, said, "Alan, that was a great scream, but you got to wait for him to come into the frame with the hammer." So we had to do it a few times. And as I told people, that they put like two grips behind me, so they pulled down my pants. I mean, they pulled me down just as the hammer, was coming down on me. So that's why that scene worked real well.
It's really effective, and when you look at it, and when Leatherface comes into that doorway, and you seeing Leatherface for the first time, how eerie was it seeing Gunnar Hansen in that
Oh,
full
completely
costume?
frightening, frightening. I
Yeah.
mean, I was gone. I mean,
Yeah.
and uh, and after that shot, to the head, I mean, just 50 years later, I'm still getting headaches. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Some people have theories that you're still alive,
The,
that you survived that shot.
and there's a movement now that Jerry lives. So you have to, there's something to that, and maybe that in a little while there'll be some future comments about that.
I hope so. And I know that you've seen the sequels and you feel as though some of them are over the top. I know you're a fan of the Texas Chainsaw 3D and then the 2003 remake with Jessica Biel. I know you like
Mhm.
those films.
Yeah, and even the new one that I know it's got trashed in a lot of ways, but
Oh, the Netflix one, yeah.
yeah, but they used a photo, they used a Polaroid of us from the original.
That's right.
But I'm in that, I'm in the 3D, and in the 3D, why I like that is I got more money for not being in the movie than I got for being in the movie. So go figure.
But before you even got to Texas, you were originally born in the Bronx in the local area right there. So how was your life of growing up in the Bronx? Because I heard you say that you took the wrong train down to Texas.
Okay, you've done your research. Yeah, I used to take the D train, and some reason I got on the F train and ended up in Austin. But what really happened was I went to the Bronx High School of Science, and after that I went to City College, and I was graduating, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was sitting in the library at City College, and this fella that was a classmate came over, and I'll always remember his name. It was Roland Chabot. With a name like that, he's destined for stardom. And he came over and he said, "Hey, Allen, why so glum? What's up?" I said, "I don't know what I want to do. I'm graduating and I have no idea what I want to do." And I was getting good grades. I was in the psychology and undergraduate. He said, "What about the University of Texas? They have a new psychology department and not that difficult to get in." So I said, "There it is." But I don't know how to ride a horse. I've never been in a posse, so I didn't know if that would work out for me to go to Texas. But I was accepted, and lo and behold, I came down to Austin, and it's been the best place that I could. I've spent more of my life here than I did growing up in New York.
Mhm. And you've adjusted pretty well, especially getting in the film down there with Tobe Hooper, and you've been there ever since.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about getting into chainsaw before that, I don't know. I was in a movie
Eggshells.
called right, and that was what they called done cinema verite. At the time, I was doing graduate work, social work, and I was working with uh, poor folk in East Austin and putting together some things. And I met a couple that were ostensibly the movie was about this couple named David and Amy, and it was about this kind of haunted house. It was kind of a psychedelic hippy dippy type of movie. And so they were doing some volunteer work with me. So Toby asked if he could do a scene at my house. The time I was married, my son is in it. I had a parrot. I had everything. And I guess they liked what I did, and they kept adding scenes, for me to be in. And then when Eggshells came out, Max, I think about 30 people saw that movie. So I didn't hear from them for, I guess, like 4 years. And then I got a call one day from, I think it might have been Kim or Tobe, I don't remember. And they told me that they had written this movie, which was, I think the working title was Leatherface. And so I went home, read it, and I was taken by it. And so I said, I'll be happy to do it. That's how I got into Chainsaw. I didn't audition, you know what I mean? I wasn't in the drama department. So go figure. A kid from the Bronx ending up in the
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. What are you going to say about that?
Insane and legendary. And I know that connection came from Sally Richardson because you were living in Robin's place, as you mentioned before.
And Sally was living downstairs with a boyfriend, Jim, who did actually some of the music, I think, in Chainsaw, and I think also did some stuff with Eggshells.
Yeah.
So they were wonderful people, and we had a great relationship. So I met Toby, and that, I guess is what led to this.
When on set, I know he was kind of distant from the actors on set. He kind of let you just play your role. He would sometimes come about and, like you said, he gave you some pointers there on your shot, putting his arm around you and stuff. What made him such a great director in cinema, just from having worked with him on Eggshells and Texas Chainsaw?
I think technically he was a master. I mean, just the way. I mean, literally, when we shot the movie, honestly, I don't think any of us thought that it was going to turn out to be anything. And back in the '70s, there was a term: if you didn't like something, you said it was a turkey, you know. And that's what I thought this movie was going to be. In fact, he called me in to watch Rushes one evening, and he said, "Alan, what do you think I could do to improve the movie?"
Oh, turn
I
the
said,
seats away from the
have the seats
screen.
away from the screen. He didn't like that, and that's the last time he called me in, to give him any advice. But he knew what he wanted, and I think the way he set it up, that we really weren't friendly with the bad guys. Although Ed Neal, I knew, and I'd worked when I had my own company. I had an entertainment company, and Ed could do anything. And we did singing. It was called the Three Ring Service,
That's
and
right.
we was doing singing telegrams, and then casino parties and carnivals and stuff like that.
Willie Nelson wanted an elephant that I heard.
Yeah, for Willie
Yeah.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got a call. A lady wanted Slim Whitman. I said, Slim Whitman. And I called Ed. He said, I can do it. And so I said, you just got to do 5 minutes of Slim Whitman. He says, I can do it. He ended up doing like an hour and a half. This lady loves Slim Whitman, and Ed just, they wouldn't let him go. So we did stuff like that. I mean, I got requests for Willie Nelson. We couldn't do that. We did his, I think a cousin, half Nelson, so that worked out, pretty good. I'm kidding. So all kinds of stuff happens.
Speaking of Willie Nelson, you were actually an extra in Honeysuckle Rose, and they could see your shirt in the background.
Exactly. I went from the apex of starring role in Chainsaw to all the way down, as an extra in Willie Nelson's movie. And then I think I was in a movie called The Tomato That Ate Austin, but I never knew whatever happened to that. So. and I shot a movie actually about 9 months ago, and I went to a premiere of it last weekend, and it's called Storage Locker.
I was reading about that.
Yeah. So I think they're going to submit that for some, festivals and stuff. And then I did a voiceover, as did Ed Neal, for a movie that's also, we're waiting for it to come out, and it's called Cannibal Comedian.
That's right. I wanted to touch on that because I read that was your most recent work.
So I don't know anything more about that, but I did that voiceover about 2 years ago when we had a cold spell here in Austin. I had no heat. I was living in my kitchen, with no heat, and trying to do this, voiceover. So that's the deal there.
Do you remember your first day on the set of shooting Texas Chainsaw? What was your first shot?
Gosh, my first day, I think I remember being in the house that we were in, the old house, not the house where I get killed, but
the one where you're talking to Sally about her dead grandfather.
Right. And we met, and we were sitting around and talking about, the scenes and stuff like that. I mean, they kept writing and changing stuff almost every day, so a lot of times we didn't know what was going to happen until that day. And a lot of the lines I would change, and a lot of the funny stuff was actually my lines.
Quit goofing on me.
Yeah. That's who's good. That's me.
Yeah.
I didn't write that for me. You can't write that.
No.
So, and actually, I was telling people going on set in one of their RVs. I guess you could call it an RV or what. That was like the trailer. And I met John Henry Falk, who was like an idol of mine. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a rapper.
Yeah, he used to be on the radio all the time. I heard when you were a kid, and he got blackballed
on the Barry Gray show. So he was just a phenomenal guy. So just meeting him and listening to the stories that he told was everything, to me, and making the movie.
Speaking of lines being changed, and then you read about Tobe Hooper originally wanting to get a PG rating for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It originally got an X rating. Do you know what scenes were cut in order for it to generate an R rating by any chance?
I think it probably had to do with that hook scene, and probably just the amount of blood. I mean, if you see the movie, there's very little blood.
Very little.
In it. And but you talk about X rating, which leads me, when the movie came out.
Oh, it was in a porno.
Yeah, my parents ended up seeing it in a porno theater, which the double feature and the second feature was Debbie Does Dialysis. So that, and then when they got home, they ended up calling me to make sure I was still alive. So.
I know this scene changed your life in the fact that I heard when Edwin Neal was doing the hitchhiker scene in the van that it taught you a lesson not to pick up any hitchhikers. But
Okay.
before then, did you have any strange stories of picking up hitchhikers
Oh,
before?
and I did, and I've had some good experiences, but after the situation with Ed, that kind of turned it around for me. I was done, and Texas is a little bit crazy too, so I didn't want to push it.
Yeah, no, it just like the even when Jim Sedow's character warned you, he said that they don't mind showing you when you're going into these folks' houses. So that's basically a
Right.
true story right there.
And then that scene at the gas station, actually, I was at the gas station yesterday. I met somebody and we had barbecue. And I mean, it's like an interesting place. And they've got cabins there and it's a destination. And several months ago, I was a guest of honor for a heavy metal Texas Chainsaw wedding. And
Wow.
the bride came down the aisle with the hammer and the groom had a chainsaw. So, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. And actually, Bill Johnson, who was Leatherface in the second movie, he performed the ceremony. He's like an ordained minister, and he has a great voice. So that happened some months ago. But the scene about the gas station when we pull in, and he comes out to tell us that he's got no gas.
Oh, with the soapy water, the windshield
Yeah, I
wipers.
inadvertently hit the windshield wiper, and it just splashed all the soapy water on him. So he was trying to deliver his lines while this thing is, coming down his face. And we were gone. Bill Bale and myself, we were done. And Toby got really upset with us and ended up walking off the set. And Kim Henkel, actually finished that scene.
And you're still close with Kim, I heard about. But do you remember what Tobe Hooper told you in which he was mad that day? Do you remember the words or just
No,
it was
no. I
just his
mean,
anger?
it's something that people repeat that he thought I was angry. I never had that. I think
Wow.
that's a misunderstanding that he would say that. I never was upset. Like I said, it was a lot of fun.
No, I definitely you could tell, especially with the shootings and the shot of this film and just the stories that you hear about it, and it's
Oh, it's brutal.
legendary.
Yeah, yeah, Mac. I mean, even in the van, it's like 110 degrees. Plus, he's got there with a cigar. They got people there with lights. There's no AC. It was brutal. It was brutal. And every couple of scenes, the girls would get out and go into the makeup trailer, get their hair done and whatnot. And I'm watching this.
You snuck in there actually, didn't you?
I snuck in and they ran right over to me and said, "There's nothing we could do for you, Alan. Get out of here." So that's my interaction with the makeup people.
At least you weren't trapped in that house because I heard that there was that 24-hour, 25, 26-hour workday where they worked 25 hours straight or something like that.
24, it's 26, it's 32 hours.
Yeah.
And if you figure that Leatherface, he was wearing clothes for like 6 weeks, it got pretty rank, just that. Then the food rotting, I mean, it was a nightmare. It was truly a nightmare. And poor Sally, rest her soul, I mean, they put her through the ringer, and she just, it was amazing. I mean, she was done after that movie was over. It took a while, I think, for her to recuperate.
Yeah, I know she had to come back for reshoots at the end as well,
Yeah,
reshoot some
yeah,
scenes. So at the end, when I've heard her say in documentaries that when she's really laughing and going hysterical in the
yeah.
truck scene at the end, that was really what she was going through.
And you did mention that, and so after the movie, Gunnar and I, we did become friends, and he stayed with me before he left and moved to Maine. And he just was a wonderful guy, great sense of humor, super bright, and it was nothing like the character.
No.
And I guess because he was so bright, he's able to convey that, where people feel a sense of sympathy for him. And now there's people saying he was in the rights to do what he did because it was a home invasion. So we're
I've
the
heard
bad
that.
people. We're the ones that started all this.
I have heard that point of view before.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Bob Burns, he really made the set come alive. Rest in peace to him. He would go on to do The Hills Have Eyes and even The Howling, and he made those sets come alive as well.
Integral part of the of that movie. He was brilliant, and he actually worked for me some years ago, and it was a genius in terms of what he did. And then I think it was a couple of years later, there was a showing in Marble Falls that he asked me to be a guest of honor, and it was on a rainy night, and I was doing a camp for underprivileged kids, and I said I'll come out there, and because it was raining, when I got to the location, it was going to be an outdoor showing. There was nobody there, and so I said, "What happened?" And they said they moved it to a theater in Marble Falls. I got there, that they were hanging from the rafters, and the place was packed. So that's when I really got a sense of this movie. There's something about this movie, and I've had people come up at the conventions and say it changed their life. I said, "Uh-oh, you need to get a life." But actually, when I went to my first convention, I thought I'd be meeting mainly serial killers, wannabes. And it turned out these were the nicest folks you could ever want. They just loved this genre. And they saw me as fresh meat at my first convention. But literally, I love the fans, and they love the movie, and it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be part of this. I don't know what you call it. It's like almost
iconic piece of cinema.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely up there, and even you have iconic directors in its own right that recognize the film. Martin Scorsese, William Friedkin, who did The French Connection, The Exorcist, have spoken highly about the film. Have you met any celebrities at any conventions or just throughout your time that came up to you about this film?
I met Malcolm McDowell.
Okay, yeah, they played the Dr.
Malcolm
Loomis.
McDowell could read the dictionary, and I'd be enthralled. And then what's his name? The guy that's The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, Michael Berryman.
Yeah, I was at a hotel at a convention with him. I think it was Cocoa Beach, or I forget where, but it was, I think, in Florida. And he was getting ready to leave, and I just introduced myself, and he said, "I know who you are." He was the nicest guy. So yeah, I mean, I've met some interesting people.
Did this film, because I know for a while that you kind of ran away from it a little bit, then you accepted it eventually, that I really was a part of Texas Chainsaw, and just admitted it to friends and people around you. Did it give you a newfound appreciation for the horror genre?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. For a while, because I was doing social work, I didn't really want to be connected with this movie. And but I remember there's a festival called the Pecan Street Festival here in Austin, and I'm like a carny, where we do different carnival rides, and they built a box for me, air conditioned. I'm selling tickets, and some young kid came up to me and said, "Are you Jerry from the Texas Chainsaw?" And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Yes, I am. And do me a favor, get your GED so you don't end up in a box like me, a carny." But no, I've embraced it since then, because it's something else, It's forever.
It's up there, and it's going to keep going on and on and on. As far as the horror genre goes, what was your introduction as a young kid watching films? Do you remember your first horror movie that you ever saw?
Yeah, I think it was Abbott and Costello.
Okay, mean Frankenstein?
Yeah. And those scared the hell out of me. So in fact, somebody asked me about my 10 the scariest movies, and I think Abbott and Costello, Meet the Wolfman, Frankenstein. Those are my favorite. Psycho was pretty scary for me, but I'm not really a horror, buff. So. But I've watched several of the Chainsaw movies, and like I say, I watched the Netflix, and I met the fellow that did it, a really nice guy, David Blue Garcia, and who knows? I mean, it's not done yet. I mean, there's still more to come.
No, there is more to come, and I really think that I wish Tobe Hooper didn't go the route of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 that he did, because I really want a true direct sequel to the first one. What happens at the end? Because it just ends with Gunnar dancing in the street with the chainsaw.
Right. And that was, I think Gunnar ad-libbed that. I mean, he was so done with this movie.
Yeah.
When he started swinging. I think he was swinging for Tobe.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I heard it almost hit the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
But Tobe overall, he was very nice to me. I have nothing, but good things to say about Tobe, because I guess I knew him in a different way, and he was kind to me. Didn't give a lot of direction, except I think he helped me with the astrological stuff, you know. Read Sally, she's a I didn't know a Sagittarius from a vegetarian. I didn't
Yeah.
know any of that stuff. So he helped me with that. But he knew what he wanted to get. And that's why he kept us separate. So we didn't mingle. You know, I didn't know Jim Seedow. I didn't mingle with Gunnar or with it, you know, with even Ed for that matter till after the movie.
Yeah, no, it became a huge hit, and it was even banned because the BBFC, they banned it. It was 23 years that it was banned.
Yeah, I think it was banned in Europe, you know,
Yeah.
and we heard that people went screaming out of the theater, you know, throwing up and whatnot. And I tell the story that when it came out, I went to just see the coming attraction, and I ran out of the theater. And then I made the mistake of taking my son just to see his dad. He was like 5 at the time, just to see his dad, and that's almost 50 years ago. He's still in weekly therapy, so it's not been an easy road.
No, but it's going on. It has many lives here. It's going to keep to continue on going on in the future here. And when you really look at it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is right up there in the trinity of horror films that were considered taboo, along with The Exorcist and The Last House on the Left. When you hear about controversial horror films, those are the three that are always mentioned.
You know, we're trying to do some stuff, and I don't know if you knew. July 23rd, I celebrated my 80th birthday.
Oh wow! Happy belated.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I had it in Kingsland, and where the house that we shot the movie is. And I called the people that are over the bar area, a name of Brad and Brenda, and yeah, and Brenda Jones. And I asked them if I could bring out. I got a tribute van. I don't know if you know this.
No, wow.
I found a van. I was on one of the chainsaw fan sites, and I saw a van that looked just like the van that I drove in the movie, and it turned out to be the same van, only a couple of years newer. And it was in South Dakota, and the fellow that owned it, his name is Scott. His name is still Scott Key, and it turned out he's the great nephew of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner.
Wow.
So I asked if he still had the van, thinking he didn't. He said, "I do." And I said, "Well, I'm the OG. You know, I got to get it." So we worked the deal, and he got it down here. I took it to my mechanic. He restored it, painted it, and I took it up to Frightmare in Dallas, and they were lined up to take photos. So I asked if I could take it over to Kingsland and take photo ops, and donate the monies for the photo ops to the families in Uvalde that were really taken by a true tragedy,
Yeah.
some months ago. So we raised almost $10,000 in less than 3 weeks. So while I have you, I think this will be in like October, but I have a website, and it's called chainsawjerry.com. And I have all kinds of stuff. I've got action figures, photos,
Bobbleheads.
t-shirts, you know, chainsaw pins. You can see that, light up
Yeah.
pins. And I have Chainsaw Jerry's Killer Beef Jerky.
Oh, so it's finally released, because I know people have been talking about it.
And on the blade, it says, "We were the meats." So, and I'm working on, and I've got my bobblehead, you know, and it was voted best bobblehead in Austin, and it's in the Bobblehead Museum in Wisconsin. And I've got some other things going. So I'm hoping to do a special things. If people can go to the website, and whatever they purchase, I'm going to donate part of the proceeds for the month of October to the families in Uvalde.
That's big. Congratulations on that. And thank you for doing that too, just for caring about those families. That's big. That means a lot.
And the title of it is like Horror Fans for Healing.
Yeah.
And so they're just wonderful people. And this is one way that I can do, is this little way, at least, to try and help out.
No, it's definitely a help for sure. You know, healing, and there's nothing's ever going to bring those kids back, unfortunately. But all you can do to help the families is that's what we can do. And
Exactly.
a major thank you to you on that part. And
I appreciate it.
Of course, Tobe Hooper. I know there were some bitter feelings between some of the cast members, especially when it came down to the money in the end and after the film. Do you know if there was any forgiveness, or if everyone eventually came together that you heard stories about after years later with Tobe Hooper?
I wish I could say yes, but
Yeah.
but he's gone, you know. So over, I mean, when you put it all together, it is what it was. And, looking back, it makes no sense. It's just, we're moving on, and it's all good now. It's all good now.
We're moving on. And
my point of view.
do you remember when the cast fully got back together for the first time?
Well, for me, I think probably 2004 was as close to a reunion because Paul was there, Paul Partain.
Played Franklin.
And that's another one. I mean, we all hated Paul during the filming of the movie. I was glad when they killed him, And then when I met him he was the nicest guy, but he carried that character all the way through. So Paul was there, and Bill wasn't there, Paul, but I think Sally and Gunnar and Ed and Bob Burns. So that was as close as a true first reunion that I can remember. Then there were others that they went, as it turns out, it's the bad guys that are the heroes. That when they go to the convention, they don't want people like me.
No, they want the mask guy.
They want the ogres. They want the leatherface, the hitchhiker, even Grandpa, he's in the movie for 2 minutes. He's signing, he's doing it. So I'm amazed that people really have taken still to the victim. Sally, who's I guess the first final girl in the movie. Me, is a wiseacre, and so it's rare that you see that it's the victims get get as close to as much as the bad people in the movie.
It's one of the
they were lined up for Gunnar, and now they're lined up for Ed, the hitchhiker.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, and just everything that everyone put into this film, from all the way the behind the scenes of the cast and crew. You could tell it's one of the most amazing looking pieces of art when you look at the film, especially from the opening, and then when you're walking towards the house with the sun, and then towards the ending with the moonshot.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Daniel Pearl. I mean, the guy was. It's just there's some brilliance there. If you watch how beautifully that movie was shot, considering the budget was virtually nothing, in today's framework or whatever, what it costs to put a movie on. And there was something I was going to mention. I just lost the train of thought about it. Maybe if you talk about it, it'll come to me.
No, but just the way that the film was shot, and you can really feel it too. You feel as though when you're watching, you could be sitting at home in the AC and you just feel the heat coming out of the screen.
And it's almost like a documentary style. So it's believable. Nobody knew us. It wasn't like Leonardo DiCaprio in the role of Jerry, So it was believable that this could happen because it's Texas, No,
it definitely is. You could tell that just from watching the film. It feels like a documentary. I know you're still looking to retrieve your shirt because you bought it at an Indian boutique, I heard.
Very good. Yeah. And I don't know what possessed me, but Ron Bozeman said, "Alan, we're doing a long shot and you're not even in it. Can I borrow your shirt?" And I said, yes. And I never got it back. And actually a fellow by the name of a super fan by the name of David Munoz, who's a super collector. And he's been researching for years, and he found material that's similar to what I wore in the movie, in the original. And so I do have a shirt for some of the events that I do. I wear the shirt. I think I wore the shirt at my 80th birthday. I don't even know if people knew that, but it's too bad because people said we would have paid big bucks, for that shirt. Maybe we'd gone into the Smithsonian. I don't know, but probably not. But anyway, but the fans have been great. In fact, when we restored the van, a fan came up with the right color for the van, and so I had it repainted. So it's as close as possible, and we found a way to put the stain on the van. So
from Ed Neal.
If you go to my website, I think you'll see pictures, or on Facebook, there's some pictures of the van from the 80th birthday, from Frightmare 2. That you can see photos, and that was huge. I mean, I'd never been to Frightmare, and it was like a murderer's row, in that, I was there, Terry was there, Bill Vale was there, Ed was there, just everybody, and even Kim Hinkle, who wrote the movie. it was, people were lined up. It was standing room only at the question and answer that we did there. So go figure. Go figure.
Amazing. When we look at the film and we hear that it's based on the events of Ed Gein, and there's so many aspects in which we can consider this the scariest movie of all time, and what really makes it, gives you that creepy aesthetic. To you, when you look at it from your point of view, what makes it so scary when you look at it? Is it the fact that there are people like this in this world, such as Ed Gein, and that these could be your neighbors in some place of the world where you have cannibals? What aspect of it do you think is the
Well,
scariest?
look at what's happening today. I mean, now you've got kids that are going in with AR-15s and killing multitudes of people. So yeah, I mean, it's a sad situation that we're more divided than ever. So it's almost like nothing is shocking
No.
anymore. But the graininess, I think the opening scroll with John Larroquette, you know, an idyllic, I mean, that just set that whole tone, that and the sounds, I mean, there's no real score. It's these crazy, you know, industrial sounds.
Yeah, the air, like when it opens, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like chalk on a chalkboard, you know what I mean? Terrible, terrible.
No, but you mentioned before bringing your son to the premiere, and you seeing it for the first time. On average, you try to watch it at least once a year.
I'm starting to like it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it in different. I was in Pennsylvania at an outdoor showing. So I watched myself get killed in an outdoor showing. And what's going on here? So yeah, but like I say, it's the fans that make it worthwhile. I'll see it so many times with the fans just to see their reaction. In fact, when we did Frightmare, I was told the next day, Sunday, that I got a standing ovation when I got killed. I didn't know exactly how to take it.
No, you think that would be for Franklin, not you.
Yeah. So, but it's amazing. And now, like I say, we're coming into our 50th anniversary. So I'm hoping we'll get to go, because like I say, we're a vanishing breed. I mean, people are dying, Max, that never died before.
No, it's true.
So it's not easy.
No, you're right, and that's why it was so important for me to have you on my show, because I'm trying to get back to the cast and crew of this iconic film, and especially introducing it to my younger generation, because I feel as though I come from a generation where the people don't really care about what came before them. They only care about living in the now and the future, and I'm someone that's always appreciated what has came before me, especially in entertainment and cinema.
True. I mean, I have kids that are 8 years old that have seen this movie. I've got 2 grandsons that are 15 and 19, and her mother won't let them see it yet. It's a lot different, you know?
No, it is, and it's one of the greatest of all time. It's in my top 5 for sure, but when it goes down, it's definitely in the top 5 scariest horror movies of all time.
Mm-hmm. So when you do your show, are you going to show clips from the movie, or what? How will that work? Or you just?
I'm going to promote it on social media, and I'll go with the trailer and certain scenes, and I'll drop the interview. It'll play live.
So I can tell my fans.
Yeah.
You know, that they can tune in and see what transpired, and anything you need to cut out that doesn't fit, you're welcome to do whatever you got to do.
No, it's been perfect all the way through. There's no editing at all. You've been perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah. Oh man, Alan, is there anything else you would love to let the audience know here that we didn't cover?
Again, you know, if they have a chance to go to the website, chainsawjerry.com, and again, if they purchase a photo or whatnot, a part of the proceeds are going to go to the families in Uvalde for the whole month of October. So I'm wanting to do that, and I'm going to make it happen.
That's big. Thank you for that again. And I'm going to let you know the date as soon as possible, too. It's going to be within the last 2 weeks of October. I'm going to air this because I'm trying to get so many people. I'm trying to get all my schedule worked out with my horror shows. And I'll let you know as soon as it drops and airs live.
Great. And it's been actually a pleasure talking with you, and especially a Yankee fan.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw on TV yesterday where Aaron Judge
hit the 60th home run.
Unbelievable. There's a guy. He's unbelievable.
He really is. You're Yankee fans, being from the Bronx, still. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you grow up in the Bronx. You have to be, and I still with it, you know. And when they're playing and they show it here in Austin, I still got to watch the game.
How about any other sports that you're a fan of at all?
Well, sadly, I'm a Giants fan
You're
also,
a
but they've started off okay.
no,
They're
yeah, they're
2-0.
2-0.
Yeah, but I think they played Dallas, so I don't know. They haven't had good luck with Dallas, but it may be different this year. So,
Yeah, no, and maybe it'll be the
I mean, so all I have to hold on to, Max, is the Yankees right now.
yeah.
Oh, my Giants, they're not that great, and the Knicks aren't that great.
No, I'm a Knicks fan too, so
Yeah, but I go back to the early days years ago. But I used to just watch. I used to just watch them on TV and stuff like that. They kept me company.
yeah. Walt Frazier years when they were actually winning
Yeah.
championship.
Yeah, Glide, the Glide.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry Gallatin, and actually, I was, I think, about 8 years old, but my parents, 8 or 9, we went up to the Catskills to a hotel, and I saw Wilt Chamberlain.
Wow.
He was a bellhop, 7-foot bellhop, at Kutcher's Country Club years ago. So I remember that. So that's, a brush with greatness, was seeing him.
Scored 100 points in a game.
Yeah.
One of the all-time greats. But
Right.
Allen, I want to thank you again for coming on the show here today. Anytime that you have something to promote and you want to come back on, you're always welcome.
Great. And I might just do that. And like I say, we got all kinds of stuff,
Oh, hold on. I think it couldn't show because of the background.
oh yeah.
Oh,
So,
there we go. It's a chainsaw.
chainsaw, and then I've got like just made, these are sterling silver chainsaw pins with my signature on.
Wow.
So we got all
You
kinds
got all
of
kinds of
stuff.
memorabilia.
Yeah, memorabilia that people can purchase, and I hope that they do. And like I say, I want to donate part of the proceeds for the whole month of October to the families in Uvalde.
Yeah. Thank you
And
for that
thank you so
again.
much, Max, for having me. It's been great. I appreciate the time and had a good time with you.
Thank you, Allen. I appreciate it. And let them know where they can follow you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I am on Facebook, in Instagram, and I got a media guy that's helping me with, and CJ Robles, who's been here, and he's been terrific.
Shout out to CJ.
And then I've got this face lamp, which is part of the Ed Gein and Jeffrey Dahmer collection.
Oh.
I put it right here so you can see it. Oh yeah, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, now we can see it.
Yeah. So we got all kinds of fun stuff and more stuff that I'm working on, actually, even now. So I'll let you know when we're ready.
Of course. Allen, thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day, and take care and stay safe. And
You got
I
it,
will be
buddy.
sending you the date shortly.
Thanks so much. Take
Yeah.
care.
See you, Allen.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.